All right, guys, we're back with Black Mythics and Rares, and I've decided to go ahead and add a little beer to my review. I think it's on theme for the Halloween theme set. Essentially, Innistrad always kind of comes out in October, Halloween time. This is Gourd's Gone Wild, which is from the Tampa Bay Brewing Company. Great beer, highly recommended if you're ever in the Central Florida area. All right, let's get started with the first card. We have Jaren Corrupted Bishop. This is an interesting card, a lot to unpack here. So whenever Jaren enters the battlefield or another non-token human, that's a lot, non-token human you control dies, you lose one life and create a 1/1 white human token. So that's cool, I guess. It comes into basically you're paying 3 mana to get a 2/3 plus a 1/1. So that's a lot of power for 3 mana. And then a chance to create more, especially if they have some sort of board wipe. And then target human you control gains lifelink until end turn for 2 mana. That's okay, I guess. And then a really hard way to transform this. You have to have exactly 13 life. Then again, Jaren has some ways to help you with lifelink, etc., to get there. And you flip this guy over, and he becomes a gigantic flying trample lifelink demon, which has an ability I really like, which is sacrifice another creature, draw a card. I mean, we've already seen this with Thran, the physician. That's a crazy ability when you can do that a lot. So this is definitely a build me around card, but I like this card a lot. It has a lot to offer. It's kind of a head scratcher. It might build a home of its own. It's one of those cards that just decides to make a new deck out of it. So some sort of white black humans, life is cheap type deck. Who knows? We'll see. So I'm pretty high on this card. I can definitely see this seeing play in both standard and in the historic. Maybe we'll see a white black humans deck come out of this. So that'll be cool. All right, next we have Tainted Adversary. Again, this is part of that multi-kicker cycle. I like this one. Basically 2/3 death touch for 2 mana, already a good body. And then he creates zombies when he's kicked and he gets buffs. So I still think the white one's the best of the ones we reviewed so far are white, blue, and black, but this one is probably better than the blue one in my opinion. And he's a zombie, which is a relevant creature type as we're going to see later on. So definitely high in this card too. Definitely going to see play. I don't know if there's a historic zombies deck. Maybe there will be because we're gonna look at champions of the parish here in a minute, and that might put it over the top. Always an awesome 1-drop. The other. Anyways, we'll move on. The Meathook Massacre. Oh man, look at the art on this. This is just intimidating. I like this card a lot. First of all, it's a removal that gets around indestructibility, which is good against Hollow Blade or Adanto's Vanguard, which are obnoxious creatures. And then it kind of has like a massacre worm thing built into it where they lose life and you gain life. I like the flexibility of it, that the enchantment stays around afterwards and continues to annoy people. It's fine that it's a legendary enchantment. You can still run 4 of these because if you lose one, that's fine. You can still cast another one and it still gets to wipe the board. So really, I like the design on this card. It's very unique and good in my opinion. So, and apparently Goldfish likes it too. It has that $22. So I'm very happy to see this card, and I think it's going to see play in all formats. All right, Bloodline Culling, very interesting card. Kind of more narrow in application. Target creature gets -5/-5. I don't like the fact that it's cost 3 mana and the 2 of them are black, so it's hard to splash this card. And then it's got an alternate mode where creature tokens get -2/-2 until end of turn. So again, I haven't seen. Maybe when we get to green, I'm going to see more tokens. I know there was that Join the Dance card, the multicolored card, but it doesn't seem like tokens is that scary at this time. So I don't know why there's 2 cards already that are really focusing on token hate. This card's going to see play in standard. Maybe it'll see play in constructed against certain decks that are really token heavy if that becomes a menace, that needs sideboarding against. So it's an okay card. All right, Champion of the Parish. I was already gushing over this card a second ago to go along with Tainted Adversary. 1-drop cards that are actually good are so rare, and they always make an impact on the format. Like just look at Legion. That card was amazing. And Champion of the Parish. I love the play on words here and this kind of duality. This reminds me of the Veteran Dungeoneer and the Clattering Skeleton. If you look at those cards, they're like black and white, 3 and 4 and 4 and 3, and they both venture into dungeon on death effect or into the battlefield. So this is definitely like, kind of tongue in cheek, Wizards blinking or giving us a wink as they print this card. So just just great kind of historical tie-in to the Innistrad set. So this card is going to see play. This card is awesome. Look forward to seeing a zombie tribal deck in standard. Gisa, not as high on this card. This is basically Draugr Necromancer, which had 0 impact in standard. I don't see why this card would be any different. The fact that it's legendary actually kind of is a drawback. And then on the top of that, unlike Draugr, the creatures gain decay. The only plus side on this one that makes it a lot better than Draugr is you don't actually have to pay the mana to return the creatures. So that's actually kind of a big deal. That alone maybe makes it better than Draugr. So we'll see. I mean, they have it priced at 5. I guess the fact that it's free really kind of makes a big difference when I stop to think about it. So maybe that will actually put this card over the edge, because free is always very good in Magic. All right, we have Graveyard Trespasser, which is I love ward discard a card. That's very painful. That's kind of pretty much the best ward you could hope for, other than like ward 6 mana or something like that. People don't really want to discard a card. Then again, we haven't really seen that Regent Vampire see play yet, so we'll see if this guy has an impact. This guy will definitely be a sideboard card to take out Flashback and Disturbed. He's a big beater, with a 4/4 for 3 if you can flip him, and helps you gain life. But he kind of narrow in application. He's really more of a hate card than a card you're trying to do something proactive with. A lot of people like this next card, the Jadar Ghoul of Nephalia. I think he's okay. I mean, he's not going to take over the game, and he's 2 mana. He's a 1/1 body, and the 2/2 black zombie with decay. I don't know. I don't know if this card is good enough to see play in constructed. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll probably pick him up in limited, but he's really not that good. I mean, because you only get to have one 2/2 zombie. If he create one every turn, I mean, heck yeah, this guy would be amazing. But what is a 2/2 zombie that can't even block going to do for you? Not that much, to be honest. So I give this a pretty low rating, and I don't know why it costs $3.67. I think this is a trash rare, if I'm being honest with myself. All right, Lord of the Forsaken, huge body, 6/6 flying, trample for 6 mana. I already like that. Like the fact that it can set up your mill, or you can mill other people with it. It's probably more going to be in a self mill shell. And then the fact that you can get basically free mana for life. I mean, it's not free, but paying life for mana has always been dangerous. Just ask any of the Phyrexian mana cost cards how good they are, So this card could be pretty bonkers. At $13, I think that's price fair. One of the more impactful cards to come out of this set. Mask of Gristlebrand. I don't know why people are down on this card. $2. Do you guys remember Skull Clamp? Granted, 3 equipment cost is much different than 1, but drawing cards for life, and then this thing gives you lifelink and flying. I mean, that's pretty freaking bonkers. This is going to go in some kind of agri mono black shell. Drawing cards is never anything to laugh at, and the fact that it gives you life back. I mean, this is a very powerful effect. You could put this on. Just imagine putting this on the Rotting Regisaur. Drawing 7 cards, that's pretty backbreaking, Again, awkward mana cost, 3 and 3. That's a lot for Historic, but I mean, the juice might be worth the squeeze, because it's hard to remove equipment, and this eventually this has got to click once. So we'll see. I might be higher on this card than some people, but I also like to draw cards more than most people. All right, next we have Slaughter Specialist. It reminds me of like the Hunted Midnight Hunted Beast or whatever, one of those kind of cards that is at a discount for a 2 mana 3/3 body that creates some sort of value for your opponent. But in this case, that value might actually be a double-edged sword, because when this thing kills other people's creatures, it gets pumped. I think it's okay. It's a vampire, so that's something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this card's going to play out. It might see play in standard. I don't know if it's good enough for Historic. I'll definitely pick it up in limited, but it's not taking over games. I'm going to tell you that right now, unless they are really heavy on creatures and you have a lot of ways to remove creatures. This is I guess a mediocre card, I'll say. All right, that covers it for the rares and mythic rares. Stay tuned for uncommons and commons next. All right, guys, let's talk about black commons and uncommons that might make an impact in constructed. And I'm going to tell you right now, black has some of the best commons and uncommons that I think are going to be most impactful. Let's start with Ghoulish Procession. This card to me is kind of nuts. First of all, it's only 2 mana. It says whenever 1 or more non-token creatures die, create a 2/2 black zombie token with decay. It only triggers once a turn. Okay, so there's some limitations here. The fact that it's non-token, but I could definitely see this going into some sort of Jund, or Rakdos, or sacrifice deck, Golgari sacrifice deck that runs the Cat Oven combo. Because being able to make a bunch of 2/2 tokens, granted, if you're going to only get one on each turn, but let's say you had two ovens, you could do on their turn and your turn. You're making right there. That's 4 power just for sacrificing your cat in your Cat Oven combo. So that is kind of nuts. I really like this card a lot, and I think it'll see play there. I'm not so sure in constructed standard. Maybe not. It depends on what kind of sacrifice outlets there are. That make this thing worthwhile. All right, let's move on to a card that I think is going to be seeing play forever. This is going into Legacy because this is crazy. They finally pretty much made an unconditional removal in Infernal Grass. Yes, you have to lose 2 life, which is definitely relevant against red decks, but destroy target creature, period. It's not destroy target non-black creature. It's not destroy target creature with no counters on it. It's just destroy target creature. Holy cow. So Infernal Grass is going to see play until Kingdom Come, until they print something better, because this is pretty much one of the best black removals ever printed, period. All right, enough said about that. So let's talk about Morbid Opportunist. Again, I could see this card. It's kind of like a Midnight Reaper. Not nearly as good as Midnight Reaper in some ways, but some ways it's not as dangerous either, because Midnight Reaper could kill you, against a deck that wipes your board and makes you lose a bajillion life. And this only triggers once. But I think in standard, I could see a card like this seeing play. I would love to pick this card up in limited, because this card could easily take over the game. Again, I'm very partial to drawing cards, but I think this card is pretty dang good. So let's look at Vengeful Strangler. This card is probably more limited in use, but it is a 2/1 body that basically is a removal built into it. So it's kind of like a discounted Chupacabra. Granted, the removal is slower and a little more awkward, because at the beginning of your upkeep, enchanted permanent controller sacrifices an on-land permanent and loses 1 life. So, plopping this down on a Teferi, they might be able to overcome that, because they're drawing a card every turn by keeping Teferi out in play, and they're not going to sacrifice it. But in certain situations, that's kind of annoying to have a 2/1 body that also doubles as a removal when it gets removed. So I think this card is very interesting and could see play. Next, we have Defenestrate, which I don't know. This might be a sideboard card, because there is a lot of obnoxious creatures with flying, especially in Standard 2022 between Angels and Dragons. Destroy target creature without flying. It's 3 mana, it's instant, but it might see play as a sideboard card, just because it's fairly well costed, and the condition is not the worst. But again, with vampires also being added to the build, there might be just too much flying to make it worthwhile. It's only a sideboard card at most, so you don't want to play this main deck. I wanted to talk about Eaten Alive. Effects like this I've seen play in the past, definitely in kind of like a Life is Cheap type deck with a lot of sacrificing in it. The Arcanist deck and things like that. So the fact that this exiles instead of destroys is interesting. It is sorcery speed, which is actually sometimes good if you're talking about like Theros Emissary deck, where they're going to name creature an instant most of the time. This could be impactful too. So don't sleep on that card. This effect has seen play before. It'll see play again. Next we have Next we have Olivia's Midnight Ambush. Again, this card is all dependent on how easy it is to make it nighttime. In black, I guess it's probably not as common. It seems like more like, red wants to make it red and green want to make it nighttime because of werewolves and all that. But it could be a sideboard card against certain werewolves, because again, -13/13 instant speed for 2 mana is nothing to sneeze at. So I don't know if this is seeing any play in Historic, because I don't think Day Night's going to be a thing in Historic. But in Standard, if Day Night is relevant, this is a very good sideboard card as a removal. Rotten Reunion. I like this card a lot. I mean, we've seen the card out of Theros, Cling to Dust, saw a lot of play. This is, I think, as good, if not better, than Cling to Dust. It's got flashback. It costs 1 mana. It's instant speed. It gives you value when you exile a card anyways. So against, freaking Magnus Opus or whatever, this could see play. It just seems to be a lot of value for 1 mana. I mean, creating a 2/2 zombie for 1 mana Again, granted, it has decay, which means the zombie gets to hit for once, but still, I think this card could definitely see some play. And that pretty much does it for the black uncommons and commons. And again, they pretty much got the best uncommon, I think, printed in a long while in Infernal Grass. I can't believe they made that card. So that's it.